yung makapag-luksa.
Ina-assure lang namin ng lahat na hindi namin binabaliwala yung nangyari kay Julie B. At may mga pagbabago na mangyayari.
And the government is still not keen on imposing a total deployment ban to Kuwait after Ranara's death.
Pag nag-impose naman tayo ng ban sa Kuwait, saan naman lilipat din itong mga kasambahay, no? Saan, anong market naman ang pupuntahan nila, no? So, yung mga employers nila will pressure the domestic workers to continue working for them dahil alam nila na it will be difficult to get a replacement from the Philippines.
Before and after the murder of Jollibee or Julie Ranara, horror stories have been coming out of Kuwait. Filipino workers are enduring abuse, poor working conditions, and unfair wages. Now, just recently, the Department of Migrant Workers also sent a high-level team to the Gulf state to check on shelters being run by the Philippine government. How many distressed overseas workers are still in Kuwait? And what is the state doing to rescue them? We discuss in this episode of the Chiefs. Welcome to the Monday edition of the Chiefs. I'm Ed Lingao. With me in the studio, Robbie Labay, of course, of One News. And joining us online, Ana Marie Pamentuan, the editor-in-chief of the Philippine Star, and Luchi Cruz Valdez, the head of News 5. Ladies and Robbie, happy Monday.
Welcome back.
Happy
Oh, yeah.
Monday and welcome back.
Parang rested na rested ka.
Parang ayoko nga umuwi sana eh. Pero anyway, moving on.
Parang super energized ka eh.
Hindi.
Maganda.
Nagkakamali ka dyan. Too many flowers, Anyway, may breaking story kanina, si JPE, Presidential Legal Counsel Enrile, was threatening, sabi niya, kung siya ang tatanungin, gusto niya ipa-aresto yung ICC members if they do insist on coming here and investigating yung past administration.
Well, it continues the same line, the same position naman ng previous administration and also this current administration. They keep insisting, di ba, na kaya naman namin mag-imbestiga. Nothing we haven't heard before.
Pero yung kay Enrile kasi...
Hindi naman siguro
But this one, oo, arrest, iba to eh.
Malambot naman yung sinasabi ng PNP chief sabi
tsaka
niya
yung previous statements
naman
kasi...
daw makialam lang sa sovereignty natin. Saka kahit si Justice Secretary Remulla sinabi niya, di ba? Papapasukin naman natin pero hindi sila pwedeng yung parang takeover na ng ating justice system. No? So titingnan natin kasi tatanggapin naman daw pag pumunta rito eh.
I do recall nung panahon ni Duterte, ang threat was hindi papayagan silang pumasok sa bansa if they're coming in on an official capacity.
Diba? All together, they cannot enter.
They can come in as tourists, but they cannot come in officially as ICC, which is a different thing altogether, di ba?
In the meantime, meron din tayong binabantayan na balita. Mukhang binubuo na ang court-martial kay Durante, di ba? Oo, di ba? Parang mukhang namumuo yun, lalong-lalo na as we keep pointing out with this particular case, puro sundalo yung damay.
The curious thing there...
Na-organize daw pero hindi pa lang pinapakalanan.
Yeah. The curious thing there, I suppose, would be who takes custody of John Durante in the event na matuloy ang criminal case and yung court-martial ng military.
Paano nga ba yun?
Lagi niya tayong court-martial, di ba? Court-martial kasi mas mabilis. Di ba yung
Mas mabilis, pero...
mas mabilis yung process nila.
Pero paano yan? Simultaneous? Parang tuloy-tuloy rin ba yung
I suppose pwede
sabay pa yan? Pero
kasi,
paano yung mga pag pinapatawag para mag-witness or kanino muna di ba? Parang paano yung proceedings niyan?
Pero
which one takes precedence?
Yung I think court-martial kasi ang bilis-bilis nila. Pero kung kailangan yung presence ng mga defendants in a court, in a civilian court, papupuntahin ng military.
Iba kasi karapatan mo as a military officer.
So they will bow to the civil courts. Okay.
So yun,
Yeah.
a lot of breaking stories today.
A lot of things we'll have to follow up on in the coming weeks.
Anyway, our first topic for today will be about Jollibee or Jollibee Renata. We're not really sure about the pronunciation.
I just wanted to clarify that. We have that, we keep saying Jollibee, pero last week when we were with the Department of Migrant Workers, sinabi ni Yusek, ni Undersecretary Kakdak, the mother keeps calling her Jollibee. So we're just saying this out there because we do want to be respectful to the family and to the victim here. Pero yun lang po, there's some confusion there. But according to DMW, sabi ng nanay, Jollibee. Sabi naman kanina, narinig ko si Secretary ito, sabi niya rin, Jollibee.
Jollibee rin.
So we may be interchanging, but we don't mean any disrespect.
Yeah. Anyway, that will be our first topic for tonight. We will bring in our first guest for this special episode right after this break, so please stay with us. Jollibee Renata was just one of many overseas workers in Kuwait who experienced abuse. What is their real situation in that Gulf state? We will zoom in on that with Overseas Workers Welfare Administration Chief Mr. Arnel Ignacio. Sir, magandang gabi and welcome to the Chiefs.
Good evening, Arnel.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Arnel, I think, yan.
Good evening.
Magandang gabi po.
Pasensya na kasi I'm trying to look for a space where I can have the interview. Senator Tulfo just came in and there's quite a number of people here. So anyway, sige, let's go.
Yes, sir. Sir, well, thank you for joining us. We understand your situation, pero at least kayo pa rin ay nagpakita. Sir, let me start off with this. We understand the President said that there is a need to review the labor agreements with Kuwait, especially after what happened. Ibig po ba sabihin nun, yung possibility ng another deployment ban is again on the table?
Medyo lampas na yan sa pay grade ko because that's policy already, and most probably this will be studied very well. So from my point of view naman, kami sa OWA, ang trabaho ko kasi welfare lang nitong ating mga OFWs. When they get into trouble, dyan naman papasok ang OWA. But of course, with what happened dito kay Jollibee, ay aaralin itong mabuti, and at kung ano man ang maging resulta nito will definitely be for the benefit of our OFWs para hindi na maulit ito. Ito po yung spelling ng Jollibee.
Tama.
Yes. Yes, but Arnel, siguro opinion mo na lang, no? Sa iyong palagay, dapat bang iban na ulit ang pagpapadala ng mga domestic workers sa Kuwait? Opinion mo lang, opinion lang.
Ako, mahirap po. Ma'am Lucy, I would defer giving pronouncements that's just based on my opinion kasi hindi naman ako kasali sa policy making. I can only recommend probably from my observations in the Middle East countries which I frequent. I will submit all these recommendations to the senators and to our good secretary to Sofre.
Ano yung mga observations mo?
Mahirap.
Baka pwede mong i-share. Observations. Yeah.
For any action to be taken by our government, they should include an intensive study and training and preparation for full understanding of culture. And I also will recommend that our brothers in the Middle East will also understand how we are as Filipinos. Kasi madalas dyan nagkakaroon ng simulain ng conflict eh. Yung mga maliliit pang hindi pagkakaintindihan sa kultura, hindi natin alam na umaakyat na pala ang galit which minsan umaabot sa rage. But of course, this is just from my point of view. Some recommendations that I will give in case ito ay ating pagpapatuloy, itong ating pagpapadala. But again, for any of the development going towards any banning, of course, that will be for our secretary and for the legislators.
Sir, let me ask something fully in the context of gaya nga ng sinabi nyo, welfare naman talaga ang mandato nyo. Siguro po, pagdating na lang sa usapin na to, what is important for you to remind our policymakers to keep in mind in terms of what impact on the welfare of our OFWs their considerations might have?
Dito sa pag-aaral nitong industriya na to, bigyan natin ng mas malawak pang panahon ang pagtutuon on truly understanding the differences of our ways of lives sa bawat bansa. And also, yung ating mga pinadadala, what I will recommend sa ating mga OFW, hindi ito yung isang desisyon na napansin mo lang yung kapitbahay mo ay nakabili ng flat screen TV and you think that should symbolize progress in their lives and therefore you will follow their footsteps. So it doesn't work that way because it's moving to another country and working there will entail not only your mental preparation, your emotional preparation, but totally and absolutely your physical preparation. Because it's a very difficult job working as a household service worker in the Middle East, especially in the times of Ramadan. So hindi ito parang lagi lang tayong emotional about the issue. Mas malalim na dapat ang pag-aaral dito, magkaroon tayo ng mga pananaw na praktikal sapagkat hindi lamang ito tungkol sa simpleng tatawagin natin silang bayani. Kung talagang gusto natin tawagin silang bayani, provide din natin sila hindi lang ng assistance kundi totoong preparasyon. Maglagay tayo ng oras. Hindi pa pwede yung pinag-seminar lang sila, 3 oras, 4 oras. That will not suffice. That will not suffice.
Mr. Ignacio, tatanong ko lang yung capability natin to monitor the situation of our workers in Kuwait. No? Kasi sabi niyong ibang mga OFW doon, pero nagkwento naman daw sila si Jollibee pa nila na nagkakaroon na nga siya ng problema about maltreatment in her place of employment. Ano bang mga nakarating ba kayo? Hindi pa siya ng tulong sa government natin?
I have been with their family from day one, and as I told them, masakit sa akin ito nangyari because kailan lang nasa Kuwait ako eh. Pero wala talagang in-report na kahit na na makakapagbigay ng seryosong sign that she wanted to be rescued from her situation. So in fact, it was a Friday that they were just talking to her, and then 2 days after, she's gone. So had we, ako lang, sa amin lang sa OWA, had we known it, it's not really even challenging to pull her out of her location doon sa Jara. Bihasang-bihasa na ako dyan sa Kuwait. That's not even challenging for me to bring her, to take her out of her employers.
Saka sakali nakahingi siya ng tulong sa inyo.
Ngayon nga,
Anong pwede niyong gawin? Pwede ba kayong basta dumiretso dun sa place of employment niya at sabihin, kukunin na namin yan at dahil nireklamo.
Hindi po.
Ano yung process kapag
No, we cannot do that. We cannot do that. That will be illegal sa kanilang system. What we can do, we have a Polo OWA office in Kuwait and as also in 17 other countries. Meron tayong Polo OWA. We need to get in touch with their police authorities and we will inform the Foreign Recruitment Agency na kukuhanin na natin siya. In fact, as we speak, yung kasama niya pa doon, because 5 sila doon meron siyang kasama pang 2 Filipina, pwera yung 2 na ibang lahi, na natin kinuha na natin.
Pero gaano katagal yung process from asking for help, for example? Gaano katagal bago siya kung sakasakali mai-extract?
Hindi naman talaga siya matagal kasi Kuwait is such a large country. So unlike in Saudi Arabia na kadalasan we travel for minimum of 400 kilometers. Hindi sorry. Oh dear. Sorry. Ayan, pinalabas tuloy ako. Sandali. One moment.
Sorry, Arnella.
This is really a very challenging interview.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us.
On-site interview yan. Sige, pakituloy na lang po.
Ako yung napalayas.
Okay.
Ito na lang. Ito. Kasama ko na lang itong aking Doberman.
So you were saying, Arnel,
What was I saying?
na madali lang sana yun, hindi naman kahirapan.
Sa Kuwait kasi hindi naman kalakihan ng Kuwait. Madali-dali lang gawin yan. Unlike kung nyari, sasabihin mo sa Saudi, sasabihin mo, nasan yan? Sa Taif, Buraida. Ay naku, aabutin na tayo ng dyan. One whole day traveling lang. Go one way. So in Kuwait, hindi yan masyadong mahirap gawin. Unless yung kanyang employer defiant. Pero ang OWA naman, and kami naman, we're very, very experienced in dealing with erring employers. In fact, ito nga nung kauuwi ko, even in their deportation center, kakilala na natin, and they're very cooperative. The last visit I made sa Talahan ng Kuwait, we brought home all the 64 na nakadetain doon.
Pero may 200 pa nga ba doon, Arnel, yan ang lumalabas na balita, no?
Sige.
Ang ibig sabihin ba nito, ganoon karami ang mga may problema na domestic workers or OFW sa Kuwait? 200? Oo.
Let me put it this way. Ano pa yan lumobo pa yan ng 421. So inuwi natin yan. Kaya lang, ang problema kasi, uuwi ako ng 100, mag-uwi ako ng 200, mag-uwi ako ng 300. May darating na 20 every day. And then each time I go to Kuwait, I am probably being accompanied by more than 300 applicants again. So meron na naman akong UA. It's like a cycle But as I have explained, ang role ng OWA hindi naman magsabi na wag. Kung hindi kapag sila ay nangailangan, we will be there as quickly as we can.
Pero yun nga po,
as long as we are
Mr. Ignacio, we want to get a sense of gaano ka-abnormal ba yung sitwasyon na yun, di ba? Kasi hindi lang naman sa Kuwait tayo nagde-deploy ng mga OFW. Pero ito po, we get the sense na ang dami, gaya nga po ng sabi nyo, hindi nyo pa nauuwi, meron nang pumapasok doon, tapos pagbalik nyo, marami na naman. Is this abnormally high in terms of Filipinos looking and needing to be rescued?
Well, I wouldn't want to make any classifications about if it's high or low. But of course, definitely, it's something that we should be really concerned about. That's why nung nagpunta kami sa Kuwait, kumuha na kami, nag-scout na kami ng mas malaki-laking shelter. So the problem is far more complex. It's just telling them that okay, you can go home. OWA will take you home, and then kasi kailangan talaga ito magkaroon tayo ng balanse on how we will approach the problem.
Yes, but sir, let me
maraming factors na we have to take in consideration.
Let me rephrase the question. Therefore, una-una, kamusta po yung bagong mga shelter? Nabanggit niyo po, kinailangan niyo humanap ng mas maganda, mas malaking shelter. Do we have enough? And then secondly, just to rephrase the question, isn't needing a bigger shelter an indication of something?
Okay. The shelter na aming napili, i-renovate pa natin to adapt to our requirements. In the meantime, we transferred them to an apartel. So malaki na yung nabawas doon sa ating shelter. Now, why are we getting a bigger shelter? In case there will be a surge again of the numbers, at least we are prepared. Hindi na sila yung magsisiksikan doon, and then the situation is difficult enough dahil sila ay nandun. We want to make it more convenient naman if they will be staying with us.
Arnel, ganyan din ba
ng konti.
ang overall situation sa ibang lugar sa Middle East?
Hindi naman. Mas medyo manageable yung nandun sa atin sa Riyadh, Al-Kubar, Jeddah, and the other shelters.
So it is abnormally high. Tama nga. Is it? That makes it accurate, no? To say that it's an abnormally high number.
Pero again, please don't hold me on describing if it's high or not. Basta ako, when we see something that there's something needed to be done, I will be flying there and fix the problem. So, and then our recommendations, we will submit it to our good secretary and to our legislators who will have the hand in the taking care of the policies.
Yes, sir.
Alam mo naman ako, sundalo lang ako
Yes,
na
sir.
pagka merong kailangan gawin, ang importante aking magawa. Katulad nito, kung nakikita ninyo, ang marching order sa akin, ibigay sa kanila lahat ang pinakamakakapagbigay ng convenience at privacy sa kanila. So this is what we did. We put up a tent na may aircon, there's a portalet here, there's a generator. In fact, we're so thankful nga pala. We are so thankful to MVP. Maraming salamat, MVP. Your Meralco people came here at umiyak pa yung nagkabit kasi nakita niya kung gaano kahalaga yung binigay nilang tulong dito na makabitan talaga ulit sila ng kuryente after 15 years.
Yes, sir. Sir, atasan ng konti, sir.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir.
Thank you.
Sir, atasan ng konti kasi kanina, a while ago, you were citing the need for more information programs, more training, para maiwasan ng misunderstanding between the two cultures. I'm wondering what kind of misunderstanding we're seeing or we're looking at. Kasi as far as some people are concerned, parang it's not just a question of misunderstanding cultures, it's also a question of how they treat the other cultures. Now, what exactly we're talking about when you talk about misunderstanding of culture and what we need to understand?
Let me explain. Ang kinikwento ko na kasi kung saan ba nagsisimula itong ganitong uri ng pagtrato. Kadalasan ito nagsisimula sa bagay na we think is just harmless, no? Meron tayong mga like posting videos sa social media. Yung mga bagay-bagay na kadalasan wala naman sa atin, tinatawanan lang natin, sa kanila serious eh. For example, I had a case sa Kuwait that was quite very challenging. It's just a band. They played music and nagyaya, sumayaw, nagkataon, the King of Jordan sa kabilang side ay pinagluluksa yung kabilang bansa. Sa atin, di ba, medyo hindi ka naman talaga makukulong. Pero dito sa kanila, malalim ang kanilang galit sa ganun. So nakulong ito. And it really took a while. I needed to fly to Kuwait to be able to convince the general manning the Talao, the deportation center, to set them free. And yan na lang ang, kung paano natin nagagawa yun, ine-explore natin lahat ng possibilities. And it's not always abogado. Kailangan yung relasyon natin mahusay sa kanila. So ito lang, if that should give light to what I was trying to say, tingnan nyo yun, tumugtog lang. And they, ask people to dance, ano masama doon. Pero sa kanila, that's a grave insult. And that can bring you to incarceration. And indefinite yun, ha? Indefinite. So, marami pang iba.
Ignacio, ang problema natin yan, karamihan involving, yung pinakamalala, involving household service workers. Ilang panahon pa ni President Duterte, yung sinuspit yan, ito yung mga iba. I think all of them were household service workers. Kayang si Lima Feliz, lahat sila OFW. Wala pa kayong program na specifically targeting household prospective household service workers para medyo mabawasan yung ganyan problema sa Kuwait.
No. From our side sa OWA, we'll go farther than just orienting the household service workers to be. But we're launching the parokya ng OWA. This is a massive information campaign that which will go down to the barangays nationwide. In fact, I'm very thankful to Yusek Balmusina dahil sa suporta niya rito. Dito pa lang, once a week, we'll be providing lessons kung paano ba ang buhay lalo na sa Middle East. So, wala siyang quick solution, ma'am eh. Wala siyang quick solution. Unless ikaw talaga ay ready to adjust to the massively different culture. It's difficult to explain here. Pero ang pinanggagalingan talaga nito, yung bukod doon sa kakulangan natin sa pag-unawa kung paano nagkakaiba ito, yung lungkot pa lang pag dumating ka ron. Anong gagawin mo? Iba yung tao, iba yung pagkain, and then you just realize you cannot go home. So, mag-iisip ka na, anong gagawin ko? Pag ikaw ay tumakas, umalis ka at pumunta ka sa amin, kakasuhan ka ng hurub. And what is hurub? That's absconding. Tumakas ka. Again, it's a case. So, ito re-resolvahin na naman namin to. It's like a semi-crime. So, each action that we think is an innocent action ramifies to serious cases which will need extraordinary talent from us to extricate you from the problem that you've created for yourself.
Arnel, would you recommend going as far as to not just train, but actually screen and actually reject applicants for places like the Middle East?
Definitely. And also the employers. At ang employers din dapat, if we are orienting our kababayan to understand the Middle East culture, we should also require the employers to understand, since you like the Filipinos, therefore, it's also your duty to understand us. If you like the way we conduct ourselves, we're a happy population. If you want that, meron din kami mga requirement kung bakit magpapatuloy yung ganito kami. So, itong mga ganitong maliliit na bagay na akala natin insignificant will really play a very significant role dito sa pag-aayos nitong ating seemingly endless problems with our OFW, especially the HSW. Uy, pasensya na po kayo. May hinahanap.
Okay.
Okay. Well, maraming salamat, sir, for joining us.
I really hope I was able to provide you with some enlightenment. I'm really...
Yes, sir. We appreciate everything you're doing. Maraming salamat for joining us tonight. Overseas Workers Welfare Administrator, Mr. Arnel Ignacio. Thank you for joining us tonight. And up for another current conversation after a quick break. Keep it here on One News.
Philippine Ports Authority is digitizing its operations, but a group of shipping lines warns this could lead to an increase in the prices of transported goods. Let's speak with Patrick Ronas, President of the Association of International Shipping Lines, or AISL. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the Chiefs.
Good evening, Mr. Ronas.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Certainly, we want to understand. We want to understand as much as we could. I'm sure we have a lot of viewers now. I mean, coming in just with our introductions and saying, "Well, parang wait, that seems counterintuitive." Usually, we talk about digitizing. It's modernizing our systems. People imagine something becoming more efficient. What are we missing here? Why the concern?
Well, okay. As far as movements in the ports is concerned, you have a number of players or actors. Now, you're talking about the terminals, the depot operators, and the truckers, and of course the shipping lines, because we are the ones who bring in the goods, or we bring in the containers to go to the ports. So all of us have been digitized. Now, as far as the services in the port, even the Bureau of Customs is already digitizing itself. I'm sure you've heard about talks about them improving or getting into new systems, or are talking about enhancing whatever they have as of the moment. So all of these players, like if you talk about the terminals and all that, nandiyan na din yung mga online payments and all this, no? Yung mga we have a booking system that you book your containers prior to its arrival to the port, so that the terminals can actually be ready as to what sort of equipment, assign you a space kung saan ka papasok. And that helps in making sure that the port doesn't get congested, and when you arrive on time, meron kang lugar, no, kung saan ka ilalagay. At the same time, even empty containers, after it's demand by your consignees or by our consignees, of course, they have to return the empty containers back, because the shipping lines need to move those containers back to demand locations. So meron din ho mga booking systems na umaandar din dun sa mga off-dock container depots, as we call it, near the ports. Now, what PPA wants to do now is that they would like us, or they are coming up with the system wherein all of these transactions will now enter or system called the top CRMS. And dito ho kami nagkakaroon ng argumento because not only will it entail additional costs, but also the processes that will be added to all the players, no, to all the people in the industry, your importers, your customs brokers, your truckers, the shipping lines, lahat ho yan, madadagdagan na naman ng panibagong trabaho na dagdag. Pero ang masakit ho dito, merong kaukulan ng gastos na sa tingin namin ay hindi ho maliit. At makaka-apekto ng malaki. And well, we've all heard that we're trying to address inflation, and
Sir, if you don't mind, sir, medyo there was a part that yung audio nyo hindi masyado malinaw eh. If you don't mind, atas lang ng konti. You're saying na meron na kayong kanya-kanyang digitization, pero yung PPA, if I am getting you right, wants to impose another digital platform that will increase the costs. Is it the particular platform you're opposed to, or is it the digitization of the PPA that you're opposed to?
Oh no, we like digitization, and that's the way to move forward. We did that, you know. Of course, when you digitize, it's more efficient,
Yes, sir.
it's more
Yes, sir.
transparent. So right now, we are actually, our processes are already digitized. Yeah, we're already digitized. Kaya lang, ang gusto ng PPA, they would like us to digitize ourselves using their platform.
Okay. So if I'm getting it right, sir, parang gaya ng sabi nyo, there are many stakeholders. The different stakeholders have already invested in their digitization. And then whatever you're using are already working, talking with each other. Now, PPA comes, they're essentially late to the party of this digitization.
May sariling plataforma.
And then pagkatapos ngayon, yung sistema pa nila. So it's a question of forcing you to be compatible with a new system and basically throwing everybody for a loop when everything was working already.
Interoperability ba yung gagawin, in other words, or
Hindi
it's
po.
a totally different platform?
It's a totally different platform. That's the thing. It's a totally different platform that they would like us to use. And it is called Top CRMS. Not only is it a different platform, pero gagalawin din ho nila yung proseso na kung paano kung gumagalaw yung empty containers at kung paano kung naglalabas yung mga importer na exporter ng kargamento.
Yun ang itatanong ko, no? It will require registration at certain points at saka yung storage ng shipping containers magkakaroon ng additional requirement. Can you tell us more about it? Kasi yun ang nirereklamo, di ba? And at every step, merong fees. Can you tell us the fees? Additional fees?
Okay, right now, kasi paiba-iba ho, no? They have been talking to us, showing us several implementing operational guidelines that changes from time to time. But initially, or right now, the current explanation that they have given us, they would like importers to pay 980 pesos, and it is supposed to be the fee to register their containers, their containers. And then on top of that, later on, what's going to happen is that when we, shipping lines, would like to move our empties back to the ship, ang mangyayari po is that we have to pay a fee of 3,520 pesos just to schedule our return of empty containers. May scheduling na po kami sa terminal. Ang isa pong masakit dito is that they would like us to send our containers to a shared facility.
Yes.
Ano ba itong shared facility na to? So kung dati-dati ho, yung container namin from our off-dock depots would move directly to the terminal. Ngayon po, kailangan po kami dumaan doon sa shared facility na yon bago bumalik. Alam naman po natin sa eskwela, ang tinuro natin, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So bakit po kailangan lumiko? Diba? At magkaroon pa ng gastos. So ano kung pwede mangyari pag nangyari yun? Hindi ho namin mamumove yung mga empty containers namin to demand locations properly. And you can just imagine, ano kung traffic na ibibigay nun na manggagaling ka lang sa isang lugar at tatakbo ka papunta sa pier. Alam naman natin na masikip na ho yung mga daanan at saka mga kalsada papunta sa pier, and then gagawin yun to. So nung nakita ho namin kung ano yung gusto nila nangyari, doon na ho kami nag-umpisang mag-oppose. And from there, nakabuo ho kami ng, actually noong 2021, nagkaroon na ho kami ng solidarity statement against it. And that was in June of last year when we did that. And then lately, last quarter of the year, naging aggressive na naman sila in pushing this, which forced us to eventually come up with an open letter already to the President.
Opo.
So
Mr.
that sana makita niya.
Mr. Ronas, I do want to ask later about the logistical implications. Alam naman natin, nagkaroon na ng mga crisis dati sa ports, di ba? Nagkiskisan lang, nag-traffic lang, biglang wala na. Lahat ng pamasko ng mga tao, tigil. Di ba? And for that matter, commodities, a lot of foods. But I want to still go on the cost. Give us an idea of how quickly the cost that you mentioned scale up and the cost implications for you. Easily multiply. Kasi nabanggit niyo, for example, 980 or something for container. People who don't know this business will be saying, yaman naman yan, 980 pesos, ano ba naman yun? But give us an idea of how quickly that scales up on your day-to-day operations for the shippers.
That's a very good question, sir. And thank you for asking that. Ito ho yun eh. Assuming na ito ho ay matuloy, ang nakikita ho namin gastusin sa bawat importer, if you take into consideration the number of containers that are moving out of the ports of Manila, dalawa hong ports dyan MICT, tawag natin yung sa ICTSI, and the Port of Manila South Harbor run by ATI. So my estimates at around 1.6 billion. You can do the math. It will amount to something like 35 billion pesos or $600 million in additional costs. So what does it mean if you divide that by the number? Kunyari, kung importer ka, automatically yung cost mo of logistics for that imported container will jump up by 50%.
Wow.
So ano mangyayari doon? So ipapatong mo yan doon. Siyempre, may negosyo kang pinapatakbo, ipapatong mo yan. So sinong tatamaan dito? Yung ordinaryong Juan de la Cruz. Siguro pag tinignan mo sa bawat piraso ng choknat, sentimo lang yun. Pero it will all stack up to that amount. It's a 35 billion peso 35 billion peso cost.
Ano ho ang ginagamit naman po nilang defense or justification for digitizing on top of the digitization that you have already done and have been using? Ano raw ang goal? What is the point of their own digitization and layering it over yours?
That's another good question. Kasi ganito yan Originally, when this all started, they were saying that we need to monitor shipping lines containers. And we said, why do you have to monitor? I mean, because there's a rule that any foreign shipping container only has to stay in the Philippines for only 90 days. So we said, well, we don't have any issues or we don't have any intentions to keep this container here.
Yes.
We're all compliant, considering that, we're import dominant. For every 4 containers that come into the Philippines, only 1 container goes out for export. The rest of the containers that are left here is shipped out by vessels or by shipping lines to other destinations wherein it has a demand, like China, Vietnam, Thailand, all these places. So wala kami reason to keep these empty containers here. And then they said, because we have to help the Bureau of Customs now. Why the Bureau of Customs? Ang mandato ho ng PPA kasi, under their charter, any container that's inside their terminal is under their purview. Right? Pero pag yan ng container na yan ay lumabas or anything imported lumabas, that's the Bureau of Customs already.
Okay.
And lahat po kami, mga shipping lines, we always make sure that we clear any containers that move out. We nagpo-process kami ng dokumento dyan called the Special Permit to Load. And pag tinamaan ka at nakita doon ng Bureau of Customs that you're over 90 days, they have the right to levy you with taxes and duties for that particular containers. And we don't want that. We don't want that. Una-una, yun ang sinasabi namin. Hindi mo purview to, hindi mo trabaho ito, sa Bureau of Customs ito. So, bakit mo kailangan gawin to? Wala naman hong value added. Okay, you can pay as long as it gives you added value. Pero, in this case, wala tong added value. So, ganun ho naging argumento namin. And then eventually, napunta na ho na this can be a help to avoid smuggling. Sabi namin, ang smuggling naman ngayon, hindi na nung unang panahon na walang mga pader, yung mga pier na pwede mong talunin at kunin mo yung crate. Ito, mga naka-containers na ho ito Dumadaan ho yung papeles sa Bureau of Customs bago po makalabas yung container. And once nakapagbayad ng taxes and duties yan, means the consignee is compliant. Dahil sinigil mo na ng taxes and duties yan at lumabas yan, you're free to go. You're actually free to go. So, sabi namin, hindi mo purview to. So, bakit?
Mr. Ronas, kasi yan ang nga sinasabi ng PPA to give them daw a chance, to give the new system a chance to work. Kasi in the long run daw, mas efficient daw yan kesa dyan sa iba-ibang digital systems na meron kayo. Saka yun na nga, dahil kahit meron tayong Bureau of Customs, katakot-takot pa rin smuggling ng lahat ng onions, lahat na ng klase. So ino-augment daw nila yung trabaho ng customs. What do you say about that?
Well, yung issue ng customs with regards to yan, yung mga agriculture imports na yan, I think hindi lang naman problema ng customs yan, pero may mga other agencies that are also involved, no, in fixing that. And I know that there are plans or actions that the Bureau of Customs intend to do together with the Department of Agriculture. So di ko alam kung ano yung plano nila to stop that. But as far as sa amin, I don't see that this can be an anti-smuggling tool.
Now, Mr.
What about
Ronas,
yung
let
sa
me...
efficiency daw? It's a more efficient system daw. Yung ganyang yan na nga na interoperable na at kesa ang gulo-gulo na iba-iba daw yung system.
Mr. Ronas, dadagdag lang ako na angkas ako sa tanong ni Ami. I mean, on the other side here, baka naman sobrang galing ng system na yan. Di ba? Baka naman, So I guess ang tanong ko rin is, saan po ba ginagamit yung system na yan? Sino ba nag-develop? Siguro relevant dito. Sino ba supplier ng system na yan?
Okay, the system was ang alam kong contractor na nanalo dyan is called a company called NextIX, which is ShipTech. So from what we know, it's a logistics system, no doubt. It's a logistics system. So I think they are picking up modules. It's supposed to do end-to-end, but what they're doing is that they're cutting it up. Alam mo yung sistema, you can pull modules out in every process, no? So yan no ang ano. Pero I don't see whether anybody has used the system locally or internationally. Hindi ko pa po nakita if there has been anybody or any company or any entity that is using it now. So, bago to. I mean,
Mr. Ronas, if you were to adopt it, given that you already have software and systems that you subscribe to, you already have suppliers for that, all the different players have that, should this come to pass the way PPA wants it, does that in effect not only consolidate, but does that in effect monopolize the systems across the entire ecosystem?
That is true. That is a very clever observation, sir. That is one thing that I have to tell you, because for one, the provider is also involved in the logistics industry. So that's the fear of a lot of the other stakeholders in the port. Of course, you provide your data, you provide your details, and all that, and you're also a logistics player. So medyo may issue doon. And again, marami pa hong features that I think is harmful to the current ecosystem na meron kami sa pier. Like for example, you start doing your job orders there. Nawawalan ho ng yung mga napagsamahan, yung mga negotiations that have happened between truckers, depot operators, shipping lines. Mawawala na ho lahat yun because you now do everything in that platform. You get a job order. Yun pa ho isang problema. So if before, ang proseso ng pag-i-import, medyo umagsalimungot na nga ho, di ba? Marami kang steps na gagawin. By going into that system, madadagdagan pa yan. Kasi hindi naman siya integrated din with the Bureau of Customs. It doesn't address the issue kung ano yung mga kailangan gawin mo sa Bureau of Customs. Hindi pa din. So, nandito ka, nagpo-process ka sa Bureau of Customs, and then later on, pag ilalabas mo na yung container mo, pag ready ka na, pupunta ka na naman dito sa kabila.
Mr. Ronas, ako naman po ay hindi po ako importer. Ang interest ko lang kung sakasakali ay yung mga balikbayan boxes na dumadaan sa cargo. No? And this has been, ongoing issue yan lalo na pag Pasko, hindi mo ba? At nadidelay. And recently, alam naman natin yung lumabas sa balita na, Diyos ko, inabot talaga ng buwan-buwan bago na-distribute yung mga door-to-door. No? So for the ordinary what do you call them, citizen just trying to get balikbayan boxes across the border. Ang tanong ko lang po is, will the digitization being proposed by PPA speed up the process, even if I had to pay a little bit more, as long as I can be guaranteed that I can get my balikbayan box within, say, 3 weeks, which to me is already reasonable, because right now it takes about 2-3 months for me to get a balikbayan box. So in other words, I think that most people will agree to the additional fees as long as the process is sped up. Will that happen with this?
Unfortunately, ma'am, hindi ho mangyayari yun. Ang mangyayari lang ho dyan ay magmamahal. Magmamahal pa siya. Kasi kaya ako na-delay yan, marami hong factors. No? Hindi lang naman dahil sa pier o sa customs, sa barcode din ho yan, especially during the time of the pandemic, may mga open, close, yung mga ports in other countries in the world. So, kaya ako na-delay yan. Pero pag kinuwento ko sa inyo, baka abutin tayo ng alas 12 ng gabi. Pero in a nutshell, ang sinasabi ko sa inyo, magiging mas mahal ho ang balikbayan box mo.
Pero hindi bibilis.
Hindi ho bibilis yan.
May inintay si
Hindi ho
Lucy.
bibilis yan.
Kung matutuloy, Mr. Ronas, what's the next step for you? Because you've written a letter to the President already, mukhang wala pang sagot eh. Kung ituloy ng administrasyon, are you going to court? Will you challenge it?
Well, that is a possibility. A lot of the other stakeholders would like to see that happen if in case the inevitable happens. That's why in our we had a press conference last Friday and we were appealing to our senators and congressmen to hear us out and do an investigation of this whole thing. You know, I mean, this has to come out in the open. It's contrary to what the present government wants to do. It wants to tame inflation. It wants to bring down. Logistics costs. But how do you bring it down when you have a government agency who wants to impose additional charges with no added value?
Okay, susubaybayan pa po natin to.
Issue namin.
Susubaybayan pa po natin. Mukhang mahaba pa to at masalimuot pa. In the meantime, Mr. Patrick Ronas, sir, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat sa opportunity. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to you.
Maraming salamat po. Si Mr. Ronas po, presidente ng AISL, that is the Association of International Shipping Lines. And that's it for the Chiefs. We hope it was discussed. We'll keep the conversation going. I'm Robbie Alampay.
I'm Mami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.